I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
Tried to DM a horror game, except I got meta horror instead, by Short Biscotti 2571. 2 years ago, I tried to DM a one-shot using an obscure sci-fi system called Only War. Oh man, trying to run a one-shot with an obscure system. This is already sounding like a bold move, like deciding to introduce your friends to Warhammer lore in one sitting. Mistakes were made. The premise was that the players were staff on an oil extraction rig on an ocean planet. They accidentally drill into a precursor alien facility. Horror stuff ensues, and the players' bosses decide to cut their losses and blow up the rig rather than evacuate the staff. Pretty standard survival horror stuff. Classic corporate strategy. We could save the workers, or hear me out, explosions. I made an ad on a looking for group board and got 8 responses. That was the high point of the game. The game peaked at the recruitment stage. A true DM tragedy. One of the responses doesn't understand the setting isn't D&D. He starts telling me about his air genasi character. I tell him we're using a different system. He changes his mind about being interested, so he doesn't read the ad. I decided to invite the remaining people to a Discord server after talking for a bit. 7 possible players. We begin to discuss characters. One player wants to play a character from a related system. In Only War, all players are humans or cyborgs, and they get 1000 XP to spend at character creation. He wants to play a genetically engineered super soldier from a system called Death Watch, where starting characters are far stronger. So I say no. This Special Forces badass, Adeptus Astartes, is too strong. Maybe a more basic soldier class. The player doesn't like the idea. I point out to balance things, I would have to give everyone else 9,000 extra XP. Yes, the classic buff everyone to my level negotiation. This is the TTRPG equivalent of playing Smash Bros and demanding everyone gets extra stock so you don't have to switch off your main. He says, can't I play with power disparity? It doesn't make sense for my character to not be an extremely deadly soldier. I say no again. He leaves the server and blocks me. Okay, maybe I ran into an unreasonable person. On to the second player. The second player wants to play a member of an alien cult whose goal is to get as many women pregnant with his half-alien children as possible. Oh no. I swear the impregnating fetish is rampant in D&D Reddit horror stories. Such a terrible trope. How can guys like this still exist and not have any social awareness that this is creepy as hell? He wants to be the fertility doctor on the base, and of course secretly sleeping with female staff. The character backstory, which is about 5 pages, used the word breeding more times than I feel comfortable with. Also, pheromones and fertile body, just for an extra ick factor. It was like something you would find on DeviantArt at the end of the search results. I swear these cringe players are like cryptids, lurking in the shadows, untouched by time, only emerging from their caves to join D&D campaigns. I tell him in more words to cut the fetishy shit out. He doesn't like that and also leaves the server. Third player leaves without saying anything to me. This is about 3 days before the game starts. The fourth player, a woman, messages me. Apparently the breeding player was messaging her from several accounts after he left and was really keen to tell her about his character's concept. She feels creeped out, so she leaves the game. Okay, at this point I'd be apologizing to the player for the harassment she dealt with, reassuring her that creepy McBreeding is long gone, and suggesting a rescheduled game with a carefully vetted shortlist of sane players. Just frame it as the screening process, like hiring, but for people who aren't walking red flags. About a day before the game, the 5th player tells me he's also leaving, because 7 players is too many for him. At that point, he is one of 3 players remaining, and he should know that. On the day of the game, I had 2 theoretical players. Obviously not enough, but I can tone the combat way down and still manage a tone of isolation and dread. There's still hope. Again, this is where the short list of sane player strategy comes in handy. Hindsight is 2020, of course, but this really drives home the importance of proper screening and a solid session 0. If nothing else, it weeds out the people who don't understand basic maths, like realizing that 3 is not in fact 7. Game starts. One player shows up, on time even, with a correctly filled out sheet. I'm back to optimistic. We sit awkwardly in voice chat for about 20 minutes, waiting for the 7th player. Eventually he says, "Yeah, I'm gonna go." Can't really blame him at this point. I'm ready to write the whole thing off as a train wreck and sit down and do something else. 90 minutes after the game was supposed to start, the 7th player starts pinging me on Discord. He's apparently ready to play. Where is everyone? I tell him the game isn't happening. He calls me a shit DM and leaves, and the server is empty except for me. I deleted the server and didn't play RPGs for about a year. Worst experience I ever had GMing. Okay, alright. If there's one thing to take away from this story, it's that clear communication and strong boundaries are essential when organising an online TTRPG. First, make your recruitment ad as detailed as possible. State the system, the tone of the game, and any content restrictions right from the start. This will filter out players who aren't actually interested in the game you're running, like the Air Genasi guy, and make it clear that certain behaviours, looking at you creepy alien cultist, won't be tolerated. Second, have a short screening process before inviting people to the server. A quick chat, a la session 0, about expectations, character ideas, and role-playing style can reveal a lot about a player's compatibility with your game. If someone insists on playing an overpowered character or brings weird boundary-crossing concepts to the table, it's better to address it early rather than it spiral out of control. Finally, and most importantly, don't give up on organising games just because one goes south. Bad groups happen, but there are also tons of amazing players out there who will respect your time, your effort, and the game itself. Running a good campaign is like fishing. Sometimes you reel in a boot, but sometimes you'll hook an absolute legend. Keep going, refine your process, and eventually you will find the right party. And hey, if all else fails, at least you have a horror story to tell the internet. Alright guys, that's it for today, and I will see you in the next one.